Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's live, whether you're checking in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or even YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know in the chat where you're checking in from, and if you're live or watching a replay. Put live if it's a live, if it's a replay, just put replay, just so that I know who I am speaking with today, because you're probably really excited, particularly if you have teams, because today's live is all about how to provide constructive performance feedback and drive performance to the next level. If you don't know who I am, I'm Dr. Michael Lee, and I'm one of those performance coaches that just wants every single person that I meet to perform at their best, but most importantly, to help other coaches help more people so that the world can become a better place, but also change people's lives so that they can do their purpose and make sure that they are actually winning in life and living a happy life to do what their life was most intended for as well. So you're probably actually thinking in terms of like constructive performance feedback, this can be like really daunting sometimes, but particularly if you're a coach and a business owner, because do you know there's nothing worse than going to a team member or someone that you've been working for a while, and you'll be thinking, oh, I need to give feedback, and there may be some sort of conflict or even confrontation just because they may not have done it perfectly, or the outcome may not be the outcome that you wanted either. But the truth is this: the feedback is just the end result. It's just a thing just to help your team member grow. But a lot of business owners and coaches, they don't give feedback. And the sad thing is, when there's no feedback, there's also no growth. And when there's no growth, remember, people are either growing or they are dying. And the truth of the matter is that if you want your business to grow, yes, you need to grow, but also your team needs to grow as well. And this is why feedback is so important. But when we're looking at today's headline, it's constructive performance. And remember, construction, if we just break down the words, is to build. To construct something, it's to actually make sure it becomes eventually the finished product. Because remember, what the opposite of construction is destruction. And whenever giving feedback, you only can do one of them. You're either constructing them or you're destroying them, right? So ultimately, as a business owner, you need to choose which one you are. Because when I look at business owners, there are two types. The first one is the boss. The boss is, do this, do that, that was awful, why did you do this, so stupid. And you're actually completely destroying not only the team members' confidence, but also you're destroying their growth. Because bosses, they look at a person and they make them feel so small. And when they feel so small, right, it's just about the boss being so, we call it egotistic. I'm so big, I'm so good, look at me. And ultimately, yeah, I get it. Bosses need to be the role model. But whatever the boss does, or the business owner does to the team member, it will just filter down. And this is why I always ask business owners and coaches to be option number 2. Don't be a boss, be a leader. And leaders are teachers. And to lead, it's about constructing. Yes, people may make mistakes. I get that, because there's sometimes there are team members that are not experts in an area, and they may be learning and growing at the same time. But ultimately, if something goes wrong, like catastrophically wrong, it may not have been actually completely the team member's fault. Yes, it could be in terms of they may have thought they could do something really well, but they weren't honest enough to say, actually, I need help with something. Or as a business owner, the question was, were the instructions clear enough for every one of your team members to follow it step by step so that they'll get exactly the same result as if you did it as a business owner? Because if they had a step-by-step process, the outcome should be the same. Because if the outcome isn't right, then of course, there's something for the business owner to also learn here as well. But let's just get back to providing the constructive performance feedback, because this is a really critical part, particularly when things don't go to plan. And ultimately, this is about what I was talking about, being a leader, because you're helping them learn. And the only way to help them learn is by asking these critical questions. The first question I always ask whenever I'm giving any feedback, it doesn't necessarily need to be in terms of something that's gone wrong, but it has to be something to help them grow. And the first question is, so write this down. What happened? You need to ask them what exactly happened. And they had to be very detailed in exactly what happened, because if they're not detailed, right, it also means that they weren't focused. Just say, okay, what exactly happened in this event? Whether it's good or whether it doesn't really matter. Just tell me the facts. This is what happened. Number 1, 2, number 2, this, number 3, this. Exactly what happened. Because as soon as they have the picture, they're already in the, we'll call it reflective mode. Because when they're starting to reflect, the great thing is now they get to start to re-experience the whole event again. So this is number 1. Ask them what happened. The next thing you ask them is what went well. So I always start with something positive, because with every event and situation, yes, there will be positives and negatives. A lot of bosses, they'll just focus on the negatives, but the thing is, we need to ask them what went well, because it also helps them search. Because they might think, oh my goodness, that was the worst thing ever. But they still need to search for what went well. And also it stimulates the emotion of gratitude. They still need to be grateful for what happened. Okay, so this is number 2. So ask them what went well. And again, they should be writing this down, because as they're writing, they're reflecting as well. And after asking what went well, the third one is what didn't go so well. All right. I wouldn't use the word what went wrong, because again, that's them beating themselves up. Just asking what didn't go so well. And it could be simple things like, oh, I didn't stick to my timeline. I wasn't organized enough. I didn't ask enough questions, whatever it was. All right. But they need to be specific in terms of their experience. Because remember, this is their account. It's not your account as the leader, it's their account. Because ultimately, this whole process, just to give you an extra tip here, is to see if their account aligns with your own account as the business owner. And when they both align, so if they are mirroring each other, then you can truly help each other. Because the fact is, if their account is completely different to what you thought, we know that actually, whatever you say as a leader, it won't really connect, because you're on completely different pages in the first place. There has to be alignment. And if there wasn't alignment, you need to talk about it. You say, okay, I thought this, but you thought that. I wonder why would you think that was it? And it'll be a case of it's a lack of clarity in the communication. All right, so after going from what didn't go so well, the fourth one, the most important one, what did I learn? Great question, right? What did I learn? Because once they answer that question, they will know how to execute the learnings if it ever happened again. Because let's be honest here, that most people don't ask themselves that question. And this is why it's such an important question, because when they ask that question, they're thinking, oh yeah, I've learned this, this, and this. So now, if this X ever happened again, I know I need to do it this way. And then they truly learn. Because when people truly learn a lesson, the problem or the mistake that happened before shouldn't actually happen again. And then we know that they truly learned. Because once they truly learned, then they've grown. And when they've grown, guess what? Then you can give them more responsibility, or give them the next piece that will help them grow as well. So just to recap, so these are the 4 questions you need to ask them. So what happened? What went well? What didn't go so well? And what did I learn? So once they have answered all those questions, they'll submit it to you. Or you may be having a meeting right now with them, and that's okay as well. And then once they've given it, you can have a discussion about, okay, is there anything else that you learned? Was there anything else that went went good, or anything else that went well, anything else that didn't go so well? Because sometimes, I get it, when someone has completely messed something up, right? They may be in, like, I call it a brain block. They don't want to go there. And just by asking them, was there anything else? Was there anything else? And it just kind of just helps them go over the edge and go, okay, yeah, there is actually something else. Because what you don't want is they say, all right, there's only one small thing that was positive. I would ask them, is there anything else that positive? Was there anything else that you did really well? Because then it helps them go deeper themselves. Because, if they don't go deeper, all you instill as an emotion is fear. And you don't want them to be afraid of themselves growing, or make them be afraid of reflecting. We need to actually encourage reflection as much as possible, because once we encourage reflection, then they will definitely grow. And then you create this environment that actually you're not the boss that beats them down, but you're just the leader that helps them grow. So make sure that you go through that feedback process, because it leads me to the second part of this headline now: how to drive improvement. Because now you know what they did, what went well, what didn't go so, what did they learn. Last question: what would you do next time? Right? How would you respond differently next time? How would you do this task or activity, or how would you speak to that person differently next time? And again, it's that part of that reflective process. And I really hope that when you implement this sequence of questions, you ask your team members to keep a file. I just call it the reflective book for themselves, or some people call it the growth book. Because once they have it, they can look through it whenever they need to. Because then they also see how far they've come. Because this is what you'll notice. A lot of team members, not just team members, I mean, you can actually self this question yourself, that when you were going through your learnings your entire life, and then you don't reflect on how far you've come, you actually forget. Because a lot of people forget how far they've come. They feel like, oh, I'm not growing, I'm not getting to the success that I really want, I'm not really improving things, and then they beat themselves up when they don't need to. I just ask them, look how far you've come. Look where you were on day one, and it would have been rock bottom. And then today, wherever they are today, they've grown. And I encourage them to grow, because once I encourage them to grow, guess what they do more of? Growing, right? Because you want to encourage that growth in terms of your team, so that they can help more people. And ultimately, as a coach, you are also helping more people too. So I really hope that you found these points really helpful for you in today's live. And of course, if you have any questions, just put them into the comments. I'm more than happy to help you. As you can see, I'm in a different environment today. I'm in Barcelona today at the Millionaire Mind Intensive. And some of you may be here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. But then again, some of you may not. And I look forward to be connecting with those online, like if you're not here, at other times as well. So again, if you have any questions, just put it into the comments. I hope that you found this live really helpful for you. Other than that, I look forward to seeing or hearing your results about how you give your performance feedback and the outcomes that you create from it as well. So again, thank you so much for joining me today on the live. And if you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, have a wonderful weekend, and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.